Have you ever stood silently in front of the mirror and wondered who the person in the mirror truly is? As time passes, we often only focus on the changes on the outside, the deep wrinkles, the hair that has turned gray, or the traces of time printed on the body. We fear them, finding every way to hide and fight against aging. However, most people spend their entire lives just fearing old age, only to realize too late that it is the greatest teacher. The Buddha taught that everything that has a beginning will have an ending. Change is not the enemy, but a natural part of life. Instead of avoiding or worrying, what would happen if we opened our hearts to welcome old age? Today, let us explore 5 profound teachings of the Buddha that help transform the way you view this inevitable process. These lessons are not harsh, but incredibly liberating, empowering, and beautiful. When you understand them, you will see that old age is not a loss, but an unfolding, a journey towards greater depth and wholeness. Please stay here to embrace old age together with grace, acceptance, and joy. Lesson 1. Accept your age as a gift. Have you ever suddenly seen your own reflection and realized the distinct changes? Your skin is no longer as smooth as before, your hair is gradually turning gray, and your hands seem to have become more fragile than before. The world around us always encourages us to fight against these signs, finding ways to erase wrinkles, dye our hair, and cling to youth at all costs. But what if we changed our perspective, embracing old age as something more sacred than a loss? What if we viewed it as a natural part of the unfolding process of this life? Buddhism teaches that true beauty sprouts from wisdom, presence, and compassion, rather than coming from an ageless face. Each wrinkle on the face tells its own story. Each gray hair reflects the years of learning and experiencing life. There is a powerful lesson in viewing beauty not as something that needs to be maintained in a fixed state, but as something that develops over time. There is a Zen story about an elderly woman who sought out a wise master with profound sadness. She confided that she no longer recognized herself in the mirror. Her former beauty had faded, hair was gray, skin was aged, and she felt she was no longer important. The master listened silently, then led her out into the garden and pointed to a cherry tree blooming brilliantly. He asked her if that was beauty, and she nodded in agreement. Afterward, he pointed to an old pine tree, its bark rough and its branches twisted from enduring harsh weather for many years, and asked similarly. The woman paused for a moment, then slowly said it was different, but it carried a nobility and a sense of sturdiness. The master smiled warmly and explained that it is because, over time, we learn to appreciate resilience and the strength to endure, not just fleeting beauty. The woman's perspective changed. Her beauty did not disappear, but it had transformed. Just as the short-lived glory of cherry blossoms gives way to the enduring strength of the pine tree, the beauty of our lives also evolves and becomes deeper along the flow of time. Old age isn't an opponent to fight. It is a path to be honored. Imagine instead of grieving for the years gone by, we cherish each wrinkle as a chapter in the story of life, each gray hair as a lesson learned. In the later stages of life, there is a radiance that only time can bestow, which is the certainty of knowing oneself, the strength to have endured challenges, and the gentleness born from truly understanding others. This is the beauty that no product or treatment method can simulate. Therefore, the next time you stand before the mirror and feel like mourning for what has changed, take a moment to pause, look deeper and see the life you have lived, the love you have given, and the wisdom you are carrying. Wear those years with pride like a cloak woven from experience, strength, and dignity. True beauty is not something left behind. It is something living inside you, right here, right now. Lesson 2. Honor your aging body. There was once a time when every physical effort felt truly easy for you, when you could climb stairs or walk for hours on end without thinking at all. But now, even the smallest movements seem to demand more effort from you. The thing that was once so reliable has now become slow, reminding you that the body is changing. This shift may bring a feeling just like a betrayal. However, nature's process is simply taking place. Just as the earth rotates through the seasons, the body also goes through its own rhythms of transformation. The challenge does not lie in aging itself, but in our attachment to the past. When we cling to how things used to be, we end up in resistance, creating discomfort. True peace is found in letting go and embracing what is present, instead of struggling against what is past. Reflect on this. Your body is not your enemy. It is your oldest companion. It has been there through every season of your life. Through childhood, youth, and adulthood. It has healed, endured, and adapted to everything you asked of it. Instead of resenting its slow pace, why not show gratitude? Aging well is not about clinging to what you once were, but about caring for who you are now. Nurture your body with kindness, move gently, provide good food, and rest when necessary. Treat it with respect just as you would an old friend. There is an old story that brings a powerful reminder. An elderly monk, once famous for his strength and vitality, began to feel the weight of his years. The tasks he once completed easily were now a struggle. One day, feeling frustration about his weakness, he turned to his teacher and asked why the body seemed to abandon him. It once served him very well, but now refused to obey his will. The master smiled, understanding the monk's anxiety, and led him outside to a small weathered boat by the riverbank. The boat had gone through better days. Its paint had peeled and the wood was cracked, but it still lay there, ready to carry people across the river. The master pointed to the boat and said, "This boat has carried many people across the water, but it no longer moves with the strength as before. It may have its flaws, but it still serves its purpose. It may not be perfect, but it still floats, still helps people reach the other side." The monk looked at the boat and nodded in understanding. Your body, just like this boat, may not be as before, but it still has a purpose. It has carried you through the journey of life, and although it may be worn, it continues to serve in new ways. Aging is not about resisting change, but about embracing the present and accepting what remains. The monk felt a wave of calm, realizing that his body, although aging, still had value. It had served him well for decades and would continue to do so in new ways. Aging is not about mourning what is lost, but appreciating what is still here. Perhaps you cannot run as fast as before, but you can still walk. Perhaps you cannot carry as much as before, but you can still carry love, wisdom, and kindness. Your hands may tremble, but they can still bring comfort. Instead of looking at your aging body as a burden, treat it as a loyal companion. It has been your protector, your guide, your vessel. It deserves care and patience. Aging is not a failure. It is a natural evolution. And most importantly, never let age stop you from living fully. As long as you are breathing, you still have a purpose. Lesson 3. Being forgotten is natural. One of the most difficult truths to face is the simple fact that we will not be remembered for long. The efforts we pour into our careers, the homes we build, the relationships we nurture, they all fade into the background as time passes relentlessly. It is a sobering realization that needs to be accepted, especially when we spend most of our lives trying to make a difference. But the world doesn't stop for us. Our names will eventually drift away. At first, this can be disheartening, but Buddhist philosophy brings another perspective. The concept of non-self, or not having a fixed self, reminds us that the idea of a permanent identity is an illusion. Just like waves on the ocean, we rise and fall, leaving ripples that blend into the vastness of life. At a remote temple, a young monk approaches his master with a heavy heart. He asks the master if he is sad, knowing that when he passes away, people will forget his name. The master looks at him calmly and replies that when looking at the moon, do you wonder where it goes when clouds cover it? Whether we pay attention or not, the moon still shines. Life is the same. We may not be remembered, but actions, the love we share and the kindness we bring, continue to shine quietly in the hearts of others. The master adds not to focus on being remembered, focus on living with purpose in every moment. That is where true meaning lies. Think about the people who have shaped your life. You may not remember all their names, but the lessons they taught you, the care they gave you, and the moments they shared with you are still there. It is the impact of those moments that is important, not whether they are remembered or not. Therefore, instead of focusing on the idea of being remembered, live with presence. Focus on being kind, being present in the lives of others and bringing whatever wisdom or love you can in the moment. This is how we create a true legacy, not in the fleeting recognition of our names, but in the enduring ripples of goodness flowing from our actions. As we get older, it is not about trying to carve our names into the pages of history, but living each day with purpose, knowing that we are a part of something much larger, an eternal flow that will continue long after we pass through. And when the time comes to leave, we can do so with peace, knowing that the ripples we created have nourished others, just like water in a river that never truly ends. Lesson 4. You will lose loved ones. As time passes, loss becomes an inevitable companion. We witness the passing of parents, siblings, friends, and perhaps even children. No matter how thoroughly we prepare, the pain of separation is never an easy thing to face. Sadness does not simply fade away with time. It becomes a part of us, something we learn to live with. However, there is a profound truth brought by Buddhism. The love we give and receive does not disappear at all. Those we have lost live on forever inside us, in the lessons they taught, the memories they created, and the love they shared. Every time we speak of them, share their wisdom, or continue the kindness they once showed, their presence is still there. In the Buddhist tradition, there is a story about a woman whose sadness was too great after the death of her young son. She sought help from the Buddha. The Buddha asked her to bring a mustard seed from a household that had never known death. Hopeful, she visited every house in the village, only to discover that every family had experienced loss, perhaps a child, a father, a mother, a friend. By the end of the journey, she understood that suffering is universal, shared by everyone. The Buddha's lesson was very clear. While loss is inevitable, the love we share remains enduring, woven into the fabric of our lives. Consider the friends you have lost, perhaps a father or mother whose voice still echoes in your heart, a friend whose advice continues to guide you, or a partner whose love still shapes the way you connect with others. Although they no longer walk on this earth, they are never truly absent. A common misconception about sadness is that we must finally move on, but Buddhism invites us to move forward instead of forgetting. We carry the love, memories and essence of those who have passed away with us as we continue our journey. Have you ever had a moment when a song, scent, or specific word seemed to bring someone back to life, even if only for a short moment? That is the presence of those we have lost, still living in the senses and in our hearts. It is a reminder that love is not limited to the physical realm. It transcends time and space. Sadness, although painful, is a testament to the depth of the love we share. The deeper the love, the greater the sadness. Instead of wishing the pain to disappear, we can transform it into gratitude. Instead of only focusing on what is lost, we can cherish what we have been fortunate enough to have. Old age certainly brings many losses, but it also brings the privilege of forming deep, meaningful connections. It gives us the opportunity to carry the spirit of those who have shaped our lives, keeping their love and essence alive forever inside us. Therefore, when loss feels heavy in your heart, remember that love never fades. It flows through you in actions, kindness, and your every gesture. As long as you continue to love, those who have passed away are still a part of you. Lesson 5. People come and go. As time passes, you will realize a simple yet profound truth. Everything, including the people who pass through our lives, are in constant change. Friends you once felt were an extension of yourself may drift away. Family members who used to be a regular presence in our lives may become occasional visitors or even distant memories. It is easy to wonder what went wrong, to feel as if something essential is missing. But if we look deeper, we see that change is the nature of existence. Relationships, just like everything else, have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Buddhism reminds us that nothing lasts forever. The people who step into our lives do so for a reason, fulfilling their part in our journey, and when their role is complete, they move on. The ebb and flow of relationships can be compared to the natural rhythms of life, just like the cycle of the moon or the changing of the seasons. It is not that people do not care, but that they themselves are also part of a larger story that continues to unfold, and their presence, just like ours, is temporary. There is a lesson from a Buddhist story that sheds light on this. A young monk once asked his teacher why people leave us, especially when we love them. The teacher led him to a quiet garden where a tree stood. "Look at this tree," the teacher said. "Some leaves grow on it for only one season, while other leaves stay much longer. But each leaf, whether it falls early or stays until autumn, has its role. They bring shade, add to the beauty of the tree, and then they fall when their time ends. People are like leaves," the teacher continued. "Some walk with us for a short time, others much longer, but all must eventually fall away. The lesson lies not in their departure, but in accepting that they never intended to stay forever." In that moment, the young monk understood that love is not about possession or control. It is about appreciating the beauty and the lessons that each person brings into our lives, no matter how short their stay is. The love they gave does not disappear when they leave. It just evolves into something living inside us. As we get older, we accept that relationships shift. Some fade gradually like the last light of the afternoon, while other relationships end with suddenness like the passing of a storm. But each connection, in its time, brings meaning. And even when someone is no longer in our lives, the legacy of their love, laughter, and wisdom does not disappear. It endures. Instead of mourning the loss of each connection, we can shift focus to the remaining relationships and to the relationships that continue to grow. There is always space for new connections, no matter where you are in life. That is the true path of wisdom, honoring what has passed, honoring what is present, and welcoming what has not yet come. As we come to the end of this journey, take a moment to reflect on the wisdom we have shared together today. Old age is not something to be feared, but something to be accepted. Each year, each change in your body tells the story of who you are and what you have experienced. Society often tells us to fight against aging, to hide it. But in truth, growing older is a gift. It brings valuable lessons, greater patience, and a clearer understanding of what truly matters. The more we fight against aging, the more we miss the beauty of the present. When we accept the flow of time, we find peace and contentment. Old age is not about losing anything. It is about gaining wisdom and seeing life more clearly. So, what will you do? Will you fight against the flow of time, or will you embrace it with gratitude? The choice is yours, and by accepting it, you will see that old age is not an end, but a beautiful new chapter